Every tree has roots, every life has branches, and every adoption has a story. Some stories begin with questions, some begin with loss. All of them are rooted in love and the search for connection. This is Janet Monroe, and this is Roots and Branches Adoption Stories, a podcast where real stories take root and grow. Because the more we share, the more we understand, and understanding helps us grow. Now, here's Janet Monroe.
Hello, and welcome to Roots and Branches Adoption Stories. Today's story is about not being adopted. We have to ask a hard but necessary question. What happens when a child is placed but never chosen? Matt grew up in foster care and was permanently placed with a family that included biological children and an adopted child. Yet Matt was never adopted himself. He lived in the same house, followed the same rules, but carried a different name and a different status. While the system called his placement a success, Matt was still required to visit biological parents who posed a real threat to his safety. Those experiences shaped his understanding of family, his trust, and belonging, and eventually led him to dedicate his life to helping kids the system often misunderstands. This is a story about foster care, missed opportunities, and what needs to change if we truly want to protect children, not just place them. So Matt, welcome. I know you've had a long and interesting life, and you do have a great story to tell, and we're all anxious to hear it.
Well, I'm very glad to be on the show and the podcast. And my story is not just my own. It's a lot of individuals have a story very similar to mine, but also my brother, my half brother, has my same story. You know, we have a very unique story, and I hope my story goes to serve and help individuals that may not know how to believe in themselves, or if they are disgruntled about, not having adoption or not being adopted, that this brings a little bit of solace to them.
All right, so let's start at the beginning there, Matt. Where were you born, and how did you end up entering the foster care system?
So, the story goes that my biological parents met at a bar, and my biological mother and father are disabled. They shouldn't have been drinking, but I'm glad they got together because, well, gosh darn it, I'm alive. Well, I'm from Milwaukee. My biological mother is schizophrenic, mildly retarded, and has 5 different personalities. My biological father, when he was alive, had bipolar, fits of rage, and he was schizophrenic as well. Luckily, I do not have any mental disabilities of that magnitude. So I taught myself how to read and write at a late age in my life. But I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I currently live in Waukesha, Wisconsin, where I have my outreach and where I live and do conduct business. And I grew up in a family of 7. My biological parents were forcefully given. They had to give me and my brother up to the system because they were just, I don't know how to say it. They were gonna kill me and my brother, and my biological mother was sane enough to understand that's wrong. So she called the cops on herself, and when the report says that when they came to pick Dwayne and I up, my brother, that he was bound in a closet, and I was two and a half, and she had me by the ankle upside down with a knife to my belly, and we were taken into care, and my family that I grew up in took us in at 2.5 and 5 years old.
And that's the family that had the biological children and the adopted child?
Yes,
So you were only in
so
one
my
foster home?
yes, so the family that I grew up in that I consider family is the Canagleros. Uh, while we were growing up, uh, we had a lot of excitement, a lot of fun, but we also had a lot of hurt as well. I grew up in my family not understanding fully why I couldn't receive my father's last name. Now, in Milwaukee, we were permanently placed in my family. Uh, and that's like being adopted, but not being adopted. It's a weird uh, uh, purgatory for the foster child, because you'll never leave the family, but you're still wanting the last name. Even that my father that loved me tremendously, so did my mother. It was more beneficial to them to have me to stay in foster care, but my biological mother had enough sense to uh, not give up her full potential, her rights as a parent, so I wasn't allowed to be adopted. So as she held the parental rights for Dwayne and myself, it was a big burden. My father was fighting that, and he was trying to adopt us. It was a really really big fight. But during that fight, we had 7 deaths in 6 years. So it was very uh, it, it, it was very unexpected. Anytime anybody passes away, it's unexpected, and it just put things on hold. And my father was one of the individuals that passed away.
You said that you had forced visitations with your biological parents and
Yes,
how they made you feel.
uh, forced visitations can be a benefit for some of the foster kids, and the foster parents and the biological parents. It was not a benefit to me. To me, I felt like if if I have to go and visit my biological parents, it's a waste of my time. They didn't want me, you know. It's just I have my family now. Just please leave me alone. There was moments at the visits that my biological mother did try to harm me and my brother, but everything was always solved before it got too serious.
All right. How often did you have to have those visits?
Twice a month.
Okay. So no wonder that You had someone who supposedly loved you, but you were also fearing them for harm, right?
Yeah, and it was common knowledge, growing up, that my biological mother loved us unconditionally, but she liked to carry knives, and her thing is she wanted to play jump rope with my insides. She always told me that on the phone, and to have the psyche, my psyche was messed up all the time. The only saving grace that I had was my faith in God, but also my father. He never called me by my name unless I was in trouble and really big in trouble. But he always called me boy. Come here, boy. Boy, sit down. Boy, come to the table. What he did in that was showing me that I'm his son. Doesn't matter that I came from a different set of parents, but I'm his son. And that brought me more comfort than I can even express. The and some people are going to be like, wait a minute, he never called you by your name? He called you boy? That's not really loving. That's just a term. No, it was a term of endearment because he made me understand I was his beloved son.
Did you ever complain about going to visit your biological family as to your feelings about being hurt by
I
them? And did anybody listen to those?
oh, I absolutely hate it. There was multiple times that uh, when I was old enough, my father, uh, that I named my outreach out of, he just said, if you don't want to go, you don't go. Um, these forced visitations were more imposed by the Milwaukee social system, the the social worker, and my foster mom felt it important for me to be around my biological parents. I did not want to be around my biological parents. Later in life, I came to reconcile with my biological father, but I cannot be around my biological mother at all. Uh, with the different things that has been said and done, even if I see a picture of my biological mother, I get cold sweats. I get almost in the flight or flight, and it's very difficult.
You've said that family is about trust and faith. When
Yes,
did you come to that understanding?
this is going to
And how?
sound so. I was 6 years old. Uh, I was playing outside like a normal boy, playing outside in the woods or in the backyard. I was extremely tired, and it came about dinner time, and dinner time was about 6 o'clock. I fell asleep on the couch, and I remember waking up in my father's arms, and he's taking me to bed. I didn't eat dinner. I went to bed and I slept until the morning. We went to church when we were throughout our lives, and I enjoyed going to church. But when I was 6, the love that my father gave me pointed to the to the love of God, and having stability in God is everything. And it was hard when my immediate family members started passing away, and it was extremely hard. But having the stability of family that my father gave, with his my mom, his wife, it was really hard. she's taking care of uh, three kids. All of my other my other brothers and sisters are out of the house. My one sister passed away in a car accident with her husband. We're dealing with so many different deaths, and it didn't stop for 6 years. Uh, so I lost my faith through a bit of that time, but there's an individual through many years later named Bill Gunderson, and another person that helped me regain my faith is Dean Culver. Um, there's multiple individuals that I can point to uh, that help me stay stay grounded in my faith, to showcase the love that my father did show when he was alive.
How old were you when your father passed away?
I was 15.
Okay. That had to be, how can I put that? Very emotional for you
Uh,
because he was the one person that really believed in you.
he was the leader of our family. His passing uh, was like a nuclear bomb going off. It wrecked everything. As we are still a tight knit family, he was an amazing guy. But to be honest, my father was just a regular blue collar man. He served in the Vietnam War. He was a Marine. He was Italian, Indian Italian mix. His sarcasm was hilarious. Um, he loved spending time with every child and every family. Our door, I don't remember our door ever being locked for at any point in the day or close to the evening that you would find people, just family members, just coming by. And there was many times where uh, we'd have family members coming in and having cups of coffee, and they'd stay for 5, 6 hours, even unannounced. And my father was a guy that just enjoyed family. He loved it. I bet if he could have had more children and adopt or foster more, he would have.
In what ways do you feel that the foster care system let you down?
They did the foster care system. I'll say this: every foster care system and social system is built out of serving the ones less fortunate. But the problem with the foster care system or any social system is the egos of the people in charge. If you don't have a heart set of serving and you're looking at it just as a career, you shouldn't be in that career. With that being said, what what I wish the foster care and the social workers would have been able to see, and even the judges, that my biological mother was not capable of having my pretend the rights of being my parent. She kept on those rights for until I was 18. I could have been a Canaglero all my life, but it was a last name, but it was also a standard, So as I know, I'm a product of my family, and I am a Canaglero. Some people would say last names are nothing. I would say last names are important. It's a stamp of approval. It's clout. Like in the kings and queens days, they had coat of arms. I think the foster care system failed me and my brother that we weren't allowed an easier transition to have our father's last name.
You did mention that out of all the children, one was adopted, but
Yeah,
you weren't.
yeah. It was my brother was adopted from birth because uh, his biological parents uh, gave him up from birth and didn't hold uh, uh, the rights. Uh, it was easier for my father and mother to adopt him. And with my biological mother holding on to her uh, rights as a parent was to me insane. It was just a giant fight, and I would cry. I would uh, yell and scream, and anytime I would bring this up, my dad showed sympathy but strength. So that's why it was important for him to call me by boy and not a whole lot by my name. And that's what helped give me a little bit more solace because of it. And my father, he was a great man. Uh, you just can't beat it.
All right. So basically, you said what should have been done differently is that the judges and all the social workers should have seen how your biological mother was and being able to take that from her so that you could have been adopted and have that same last name because you were the only one that
Yeah,
didn't. So
yeah.
that gave you attachment. Would you say attachment issues
I,
because you
I've
didn't have the same
had
last name?
um, I'm in my family, my brothers and sister, and would say that I have, while I was growing up, the most attitude because of that. I was an angry kid. Even that I I wanted to be, like them. I was angry because I didn't have their last name. A, a lot of my anger and my frustration and my complex towards family is because I don't have the Conaglero last name. As a legal aspect, I wanted it legally changed. I that just wasn't in the cards, I guess.
Could you legally change it after you turned 18? Could you have done that
Yes,
yourself?
I could have, but I wanted it to be given to me, and I didn't want to take it. Um, I felt if I legally changed my last name after I was 18 to Conaglero, it I I felt like I didn't earn it as a gift, right? As my one brother that it's adopted, he was given a birthright as a Conaglero from birth. But it's a special thing, just like God. When we accept God in our lives, He gives us the same birthright that He gives to the Israelites after uh, the Old Covenant was the Old Testament, and the New Testament is the New Covenant with God. I felt if I would have just changed it on my own, my family would have been mad. And I would have been taking a birthright that wasn't given to me in a proper manner.
Okay. So, how would you say that your experiences led you to the work that you're doing today?
It's the foundation of my outreach. My outreach, I am building a counseling and mentoring center, actually in a building that I used to break into. It's a 106-year-old building. Uh, Dr. Vali Moore, he was a homeopathic doctor. He served in the Civil War. He served people within Waukesha City and County. And his house was also his hospital, and he did house calls as people did 100 years ago, and he was a quiet doctor, and the building that I'm in has always been a service to the community, and as my outreach is built off of the stability of family and the stability of the kitchen table. It's everything. Our counseling and mentoring mentality is everything's built off of stability. My father's character, all of my businesses, the outreach, the recovery program, the rehab that I want to launch in the next 5 years, it's all built off of a blue collar man giving his son a hug at 10 years old. And I didn't know how to believe in myself. So he gets down on my level, gives me a hug, and shows me the love of God through an ordinary moment. My my outreach is built off of a hug and the psychology of the stability of family and what a kitchen table means to to a family. Not a whole lot of people sit around and joke and sit at the kitchen table uh, at a certain time anymore. There's many families that have it but don't utilize it the way we used to. I'm bringing back the the stability of the kitchen table and teaching ethics of the kitchen table. How do you interact? The relationships. Who's the discipline? Who gives the praise? A household is built with a wife and a husband with a firm foundation and commitment for better morals and ethics, and I believe also in the faith of God, but with the stability of you're going to eat dinner at this time, we're going to have no cell phones, we're going to talk about your day, just conversate.
You work with kids generally who are struggling socially and are getting into
Yes.
trouble. Were you kind of in trouble when you were growing up? You said you broke into the
I
building a few times,
the type of
so therefore you
trouble
relate to these children, right?
I lived their lifestyle. I me and my best friend in junior high and high school, we were drug dealers. I've been arrested from cops. I've done so many different things that I mean, to be honest, now I look at it like, holy cow, um, these are really fun shenanigans. But I could have ended up in jail for 40 years. The kids and families that I work with have the mentality that I used to have. Why are you even here? Why do you even want to work with me? There was a man named Dean Culver. He's still one of my great mentors, and he opened a place called the Teen Center. I was suicidal, and this is during the time that my dad passed away, and I was extremely suicidal. He didn't know me from Adam. I was the second person that walked into his teen center, and he gave me a hug. Well, he didn't know I had a butcher's knife and a suicide note in my backpack. I went outside immediately and I threw it away in the dumpster. I was going to commit suicide on uh, front door, the front steps of my church, and Dean Culver saved my life with a hug. And later in life, there was a pastor at Fox River Christian Church. After many years, I lost my faith again, and I was extremely angry. He gave me a hug, and he saved my life once more.
The youth that you mentor, do you mentor them in person?
I
So you're
mentor
able
them
to
in
give them a hug as well and make that difference?
Yes, my outreach is built upon the relationship in person. Um, I serve teens, families, young adults, old individuals, anybody that needs service in their life. I will gladly serve them in any way, shape, or form.
So I know as a parent, myself, my daughter was a problem, especially in her teenage years, from 13 to 16. Well, maybe even later. I I should say maybe still, but no, I won't do that. But she had a traumatic incident that happened. Her dad had an accident and was in hospital for a long period of time. And then when he came home, he was still in so much pain that he wasn't paying attention to the kids the way that he had. So she was lost her way, and would run away from home a lot. And she got in trouble often. And, I found that when you talk to people about it, I would go into a store, um, and somebody would say, "Hi, how are you today?" And I burst into tears because my daughter had run away. And everybody was going through the same thing. Everybody knew someone who was going through the same thing regarding the way children were being brought up today. And it's really not, because there's no manual that says how you can look after these children, right? You just have to
No,
just make sure that you love them all the time and that you're there for them and you do what you can to keep them going on the straight and narrow.
right, and you
And my
know,
daughter is a beautiful person today.
well, every child is going to push back on their parents. One thing I've learned is children want responsibility to show what they're capable of. And, if we neglect on giving structure, and also there's three things: structure, discipline, and responsibility. Marriage all three of those in a perfect balance, you'll have an amazing child. But also, if you don't maintain structure, discipline, and responsibility in yourself, you won't be able to help your spouse, yourself, or your children. And she must have went through something fierce. So it, have grace with those with those memories, and it's okay that those things did happen. But I'm glad she came back.
Definitely. So am I. So am I. She's pretty amazing today, and
Yes,
has given me two grandsons as well. So, um,
yes.
15 and 18, and they're at the time of difficulty. All right. So going forward, Matt, if you could change one thing about the foster care system, what would it be?
The magnitude of the foster care system. I would like to see more private adoption agencies and foster care systems. Um, the the magnitude that the social system has is really big. It's supposed to serve people, but people are afraid of it. And some social workers are not there to serve the the client, they're there to serve themselves. If we had a smaller government, within for the social system, I think the private sector would serve a lot better in organizing and benefits for the adoptive parents and the foster children would be better. Now, I'm not saying there shouldn't be a government ran social system. It just should be minimized a little bit. Uh, cut out cut out the bacon and make sure the people that are working in that is the right individuals to work in the system.
But do you feel if you privatize it that it might become more of a human trafficking or child trafficking?
Foster care system, no, I think if you allow the government to grow even more, there's going to be even more of trafficking, anyways. Uh, the foster care system is abused tremendously. The foster care system is desiring foster parents in such a manner that I've watched in different states, in my own state, that they'll just take anybody. And I've watched and interviewed and looked at private agencies in the even that there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through for the government social system. The amount of accountability for the privatized foster system or adoption agencies are tremendous. And what I would like to see is also a better working relationship with the private foster care and adoption agencies with the social system in general. And it, I'll tell you the main issue. It's the mindset and heart set of the people that are the social workers or the clinical therapists or a- any of those individuals. If they don't have the right heart set and service to the clients, the foster parents or the parents that want to adopt, to the kids that are forgotten, you're not going to give the service that it was initially there for. The social system was built to serve, but people are afraid of it now for somewhat a good reason. But let's get back to why it actually was built in the first place.
All right. So, what would you say to a child today who is being permanently placed but not adopted?
Oh, what would it, I'm just going to say, what would I say to myself? Knowing the knowledge that I have, if I could go back in time and say to my younger self, I'd say to my younger self or a kid in young in age or a teenager that's permanently placed but not adopted is it matters that you're loved. It doesn't matter what's your last name. It's okay to want the last name, but you don't need it to be loved. And I wish I understood that truth. And my dad tried to show it to me by calling me his boy.
Okay. So, what is the name of your mentoring organization and how can people reach you, Matt?
So my outreach is called Vincent James Mentoring. It's built off of my father's character. I name my business after him. My father was Vincent James Caniglaro, and we're at 307 East Main Street. I'm currently remodeling the building, and you can reach me by cell phone or email. Here's my cell phone, 262-720-8961. My email is matt@vincentjamesmentoring.org. If you're in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, I'll gladly serve. If you're outside of uh, the state of Wisconsin, I'll gladly serve. If you're outside of the continent and you're in Canada or whatnot, I will find a way to serve. My organization is built to serve and to be of service.
Perfect. So, Matt's story reminds us that permanently on paper doesn't always mean safety, belonging, or healing. Being placed is not the same as being chosen, and children know the difference. If we truly want to serve kids in foster care, we must listen to those who lived it, question systems that prioritize and control over care, and redefine family as something built on trust, not just legality. So Matt spelt it out that we need to offer the children the structure, the discipline, and teach them responsibility. So thank you, Matt, for your honesty, your advocacy, and for turning pain into purpose. This has been Roots and Branches Adoption Stories, where lived experience leads the conversation. Thank you for following us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Roots and Branches Adoption Stories, where every tree has roots, every life has branches, and every adoption has a story. Got an adoption story you want to tell? Want to learn more about adoption stories? Then visit rootsandbranchesadoptionstories.com.